When games come to a close, the story within just ends. Sometimes a sequel picks up where the story left off, sometimes that same character starts another adventure but leaves the previous world behind. And that's kind of what happened with Super Mario Sunshine. This game was a big deal for me as a kid. It was a seaside summer escape from the middle of, cornfields. And when Super Mario Odyssey was released, I was excited to see that Isle Delfino made it onto the globe in the promotional material, only to have it erased before the game released. The imprint on the island is still there on the 3D model, but the texture to the island is gone. But I digress. I say all of this because I'm a sucker for nostalgia, and when someone breathes life back into a world that I miss, I'm all about it. In today's video, we're taking a look at a fan continuation of Super Mario Sunshine that takes us to unexplored areas on Isle Delfino and to the world beyond. The adventure that took place after the one we finished almost 21 years ago. This is Super Mario Eclipse, and I hope you enjoy. Before starting, you'll notice the footage in this video is in both 4:3, 30 frames per second, and 16:9, 60 frames per second. This continuation allows for both modes, whether you want that classic Sunshine look, or if you want to overhaul the game and bump up the specs. And of course, this awesome creation would not have been possible without the amazing team shown on screen here. What you're about to see is all due to their hard work, so a major thanks to them. Let's dive in. So our grand adventure begins on Serena Beach, but this time we're not checking into the haunted hotel, we're actually leaving it. So we find Peach with her luggage right outside the door, and we're getting ready to board the Daisy Cruiser. Peach and Toadsworth's plane is unfortunately out of fuel, so they're going to be jumping on the cruise ship. And right off the bat, I think what I love most about this so far is the authenticity of what the dialogue feels like when it comes to talking to the NPCs and stuff. I don't know, they just captured that charm very well. Like for example, these Nokis complaining that they can't see the sunset because of this giant cruise ship. It just fits in so well with the characters of Sunshine. Now this Daisy Cruiser is the same cruise ship that appears in Mario Kart Double Dash, and the map itself, once we board it, is that same map. And I think this is kind of neat because the idea of a cruise ship being the foundation and the hub world for this evolution of Super Mario Sunshine, it's very fitting. We just spent all this time on a tropical island, and cruise ship vacations go hand in hand with that. As we board this massive cruise ship, it is our goal to get 10 shine sprites from within. And this cruise ship is very large. It takes a long time to explore on foot because normally we'd be racing around this in Mario Kart. But there's a lot hidden inside this cruise ship. It's kind of funny because some of the dialogue reflects perfectly with the aesthetic of this cruise ship and how like tables slide back and forth. So we have an NPC talking right here about how they glue the tables down because they're sliding all over the place. But like I was saying, as we move around this cruise ship, there are several secrets that we can find and worlds to explore. So of course, there are shine sprites hidden around this cruise ship with various puzzles that you must solve, like taking this durian from the pool all the way to like the front of the ship. But the first world that I found was right by the pool. You see this glowing, reclining, like poolside chair that if you stand on top of it, it warps you into a dream. So your character falls asleep and you wake up in this, what is called a nightmare, but looks like this dreamscape. This level looks really cool, and there's balloons scattered all around it, and you must use the rocket to pop these balloons within 7 minutes. But I understand why it's called a nightmare, because this challenge is actually quite difficult, and it was something that I did not clear initially. The other world that we can find on this cruise ship is a casino-based world. So down in the inner workings of the ship, there is like a storage area, and inside a giant wooden crate is the entrance to a casino-based level. It's a gambling paradise, and it feels like the lost world of Luigi's Casino from Super Mario 64 DS. And you will also notice that upon loading this level, you can choose your character. Yes, there are multiple characters in this continuation, and we can choose between Mario, Luigi, or Il Piantissimo. So of course I went with Luigi, and I started exploring this massive world, and I realized after getting some stars in a very difficult way that perhaps maybe I should have chose a different character. You see, certain shine sprites are actually designed around specific characters. And so in some ways, this mod is kind of like Donkey Kong 64, where you need to swap characters in order to accomplish specific puzzles. However, some puzzles can be done with the other characters, although it's going to be quite difficult, like these giant poker chips, or attempting to climb far into the sky. And it wasn't until I read a sign that specifically said that I should be playing as a character that has a tree for a head that I realized that Il Piantissimo is an absolute legend. So I fired him up and I was climbing this giant Jenga block structure, and his double jump is so awesome. you can make insane ground while playing as this character. You can jump super high, and you have the ability to double jump at any point. And the double jump itself actually lets you jump in any direction, which is kind of broken, but also really cool. Now, there are 2 other secrets that I was able to find on the Daisy Cruiser, one being a broken pipe that you can enter inside and then warp up top to a shine sprite, and the other is if you try to go inside of Peach's plane. Now, like all secret areas in Super Mario Sunshine, they are, of course, very unconventional and difficult, and this plane area is just that. You're basically jumping from plane to plane before they fall out of the sky, and then you have to jump over to trains from Super Mario Galaxy, these toy trains that then take you to other planes, and you must repeat this as you're climbing ever so high into the sky. And this area is very, very difficult. So much so that if you make it to the final area where you get the shine sprite, you have to jump at the perfect time, otherwise you are going to die and have to do everything all over again. Secret areas in Super Mario Sunshine will always haunt me. So with all that said, once you get 10 shine sprites, something interesting happens. You had to get 10 shine sprites in order to power the cruise ship. But once the cruise ship is powered up, things get very interesting. Because I had no idea this was the case, because once the cruise ship is powered up, then we see the actual overworld for this game. And as you can see, there's a tiny model of the cruise ship that takes us back to the Daisy Cruiser, but all around us are new islands to explore. And at this point, like not knowing any of this, I was just like, oh my gosh, wait, what? But it makes sense because earlier on, through dialogue, we learned that the next destination is a frozen island, a cold place. And so we head over to this winter island, and we leave the ship onto a desolate, icy landscape. And this map also is quite big. So there is a shine sprite all the way at the top of the mountain. And I'm pretty sure you're supposed to use Mario or Luigi to get this, but I'm going strong with Piantissimo. So I use him to see if I can get up there. And because of Piantissimo's movement capabilities, we can actually jump around this mountain very carefully, as long as we are accurate with where we're landing. Now I'm gonna stop here for a second because you can see that there are these whirlwind, like tornado things, and these are something new that the player is supposed to jump into with Mario or Luigi. It allows them to travel horizontal distances a little bit faster, but also gain some height. But with Piantissimo's jumping ability, we can also make it up this mountain, and then we can brute force the final stretch by jumping repeatedly against its edge, and then we finally make it to the summit. Up top, we're like the king of the world, and all around us is this frozen landscape. And of course, there's various other puzzles scattered around this island, and even a cave that takes you to another secret area. However, this world is not the only one available to us right now. There's also another one that looks like an early VR landscape. It's like something out of Tron. And this world is quite interesting because all the textures on the world itself actually move slightly. And so what you're left with is this world that feels like it's made of energy. It's like a cyber world. So once you get 20 shine sprites, another treat awaits you. And it's a Super Mario Galaxy 2 level. I have to say, it's honestly both very strange, but also incredibly awesome to play Starshine Beach in Super Mario Sunshine. You can tell they went the extra mile with this. Not only is there a launch star animation, similar to Super Mario Galaxy, but there's even Super Mario Galaxy 2 related aspects in this level. For example, the silver stars are back, which you would have to collect in order to unlock a power star. And running around this level, it just feels perfect. It feels like a natural segue to Galaxy from Sunshine. This is the ultimate space beach, and it fits in perfectly. Now, Starshine Beach is quite a ways away from Isle Delfino, at least in the span of the overarching Mario world. So let's go to Isle Delfino itself and talk about how we only could explore certain parts of the island. And what this mod does, which I'm very excited about, is it builds out the remaining sections of Isle Delfino and turns them into levels that we can explore. So for starters, we have the Pianta Pit, which is below Pianta Village. You know how in Pianta Village, there's like these giant mushrooms growing up, and they're coming out of this massive hole beneath the village? Well, this is the Pianta Pit. Beneath Pianta Village is a hole that is honestly very beautiful, because in this mod, this area is fully explorable. And it's interesting because the story is that when people fall down here, they essentially have to make like a refuge camp, because there's no way to get out. And while that is sort of grim, this area is visually stunning. I love the really bright river that flows through this place. It's just so picturesque. And running around this makes it feel like you're running through a jungle. What's really cool is that the survivors down here built like this floating refuge camp above the floor of the jungle. And so you have this network of shelters and bridges suspended above the entire map. Honestly, I always wondered what was beneath this village, and this creation sort of expands on that curiosity and does a very good job doing so. But the other area that I want to show off is called Urto Rock. Now both the Pianta Pit and Urto Rock are actually still in development, so the visuals here are not 100% final, but Urto Rock actually plays off the visual cliffside of Isle Delfino if you're standing in the town. And it's very helpful to have the rocket nozzle for this area because things are so tall and they're spread out amongst different height levels. There's even a train track that like runs through the town and goes off into a cave in the distance. But what's really cool is that this area also leads to another path, a cliffside hike that takes us further behind Isle Delfino. Being in this town just felt interesting. I had spent a lot of time as a kid using action replay and hopping up and out of bounds using like a flying code and things like that. So seeing someone take the island and transform it in this way and actually putting something out here is very cool. Sitting up on this trail before you get to Urto Rock and just turning around and looking down below at Delfino Plaza is a strange feeling. I first ran through that plaza 20 years ago, and here I am, now an adult, and experiencing sort of like what I imagined what the island would be like back then in areas that I could not access. I'm a sucker for nostalgia, and this mod was the perfect dose. So I highly recommend checking out Super Mario Eclipse. There will be a link to the trailer in the description below. And once again, a huge thanks to the team behind this game for letting me take it for a spin early, because I certainly enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see all of you in the next video. Cheers!